Hello and welcome to Flory Models Kit Review time. Today we've got the massive 1/32 scale F-35B by Trumpeter. Now I'm quite a fan of Trumpeter's bigger kits. They don't seem to be overcomplicated. They've got some nice details, but normally there's a problem. And this problem may be that it's got wrong details onto it, it's scaling, it's just something Trumpeter always seem to drop the ball at some point. So I'm very hopeful that actually we've got a fleet of 1/32 scale F-35s, so obviously being the conventional A, we've got the B, which is obviously the Stovall version we got here, and we've got the C, the carrier version, so coming down the line. And these are big, impressive kits, not to mention there are quite a lot of money, so we want to make sure they're pretty good. So, anyway, if we have a look down in the box, which is going to be easier said than done because it's absolutely massive, we can see. So, a couple of things on the box we got here. It says it's going to be around about 48 centimetres long. So obviously that's quite big. We got 33 centimetres in the wingspan. It's got 400 plus parts. A quick run round on the box. As you can see, we've got the various US Marine Corps ones, but it's quite nice as well. We've got 617 Dambusters unit as well for the actual RAF version. So that's quite nice. Normal complementary of weapons, as you might expect. We've got some photo etch, some nice decals all the way through. And as you can see, your kit number for this one is 03232. And then some of the details on the kit as well. So it looks like we've got a nice cockpit, detailed weapons bay. Obviously we've got the lift fan at the front and the ducting. And then obviously we can see down in here some of the other ones as well. We've got a full length jet engine, which is quite nice. I don't know if it's going to be movable, and obviously with the gear as well. So in the box we are greeted by, if I get the lid off, a huge box. As you can see, we are greeted by the obligatory bump sheet. We've got, it's going to come out with the lift out. Nope. We've got a cardboard inlay with said model on there, and straight away the RAM looks very, very big. So RAM is the tape. To be honest with you, I'm going to avoid talking about it. I talk about it all the time. I get asked lots of questions about it, and to be honest, I'm sort of sick and tired of the entire thing about it. Needless to say, I'll be sounding 99% of that off. All right, so we got that. Then down in here we've got bags of everything. So you can see it's big, it's clunky. We've got all the various stuff down in here. Looks actually quite nice. Big old engine. We've got weapons, you might imagine, put them somewhat separately for the moment. We've got pylons, which is quite nice. All right, and we've got obviously various bags for control surfaces and inside. Then over here we have a separate bag with intakes, which actually look very nice. And then obviously we've got engine, we've got, oh my god, Trumpeter. We'll talk about that in a moment. And various other bits. Nicely protected as always, as you can see from Trumpeter. You can see this is actually going to be a while to get through this. So, okay. I can see problems already, and we haven't even opened the box yet. We've got rubber tyres. Again, I don't know. I think things might have moved on from there as well. We've got something in there, I'm not even sure what that is. We've got a seat. Then we've got, I'm hoping that's clear parts in there. So we've got clear parts. And then we've got canopy with the inner and outer railing. So it looks like we've got an inner hoop as well, and the outer, which looks quite nice. Cockpit itself, which looks a little bit basic, shall we say. So let's get rid of the giant old box. And I tell you what I am missing is instructions. I have got no instructions unless they're hidden. Oh, hold on, sorry, my mistake. They are hidden there underneath the box. Box within a box. I was having a bit of a panic then. Right, okay, so hopefully now we can drop this big camera in a little bit closer. Probably to about there, I'm thinking. Right, okay, so Trumpeter's normal way of doing it, we've got the instructions this way. We've got big cull-out sheets. All right, so we'll move this across both sides, so you can see pretty much everything down in there. So as always, pretty much standard. We're starting off with the seat, all the things going there. We've got a photo etch for the harnesses, so we've got the seat going down in there. I don't know exactly how nice that is till we get in there. Cockpit detail as well, and again, being a modern aircraft, you know, we were expecting it not to have many buttons and switches, although there seems to be quite a few in here. All right, because as I say, most of us know it's got this big, I think it's 27-inch touchscreen monitor, which is very cool on the front. All right, so we've got decals for going all around those ones as well. Instrument coning going over. It is that type of clamshell design, so we're expecting it to be pretty much as we've seen before. So cockpit's going to fit up underneath the upper fuselage. We've got the ring going in at the back, and then already it's talking about putting these on. God knows why you put these on now. Clearly you're not going to. All right, so forget about all of these, but just remember to come back and put them on later. Then we're into the weapons bay, pretty standard, right the way through. So again, nice details, looks like going into there. We've got all the piping, the ducting piping, things like that being fitted down into these. So that's very good. We're talking about opening up some holes as well. And then obviously got those weapons bay being fitted onto the lower fuselage, which is pretty standard. Okay, so next up we've got the wheel wells, pretty straightforward, being fitted down into the outer. Definitely not like the Tamiya way of doing it, but hey ho. Nice touch though, we do get a full length engine with all the details onto this one. This is one of those ones I'm hopeful you might be able to display it separately. Otherwise all of this lovely work is all going to be hidden. We've got some photo etch straps going around it as well. Obviously we've got intake and exhausts and various things, so that's looking all very nice. All right, so again, right the way through, we've got that drive shaft going through to the front. And then obviously we've got the neck system, and I'm just doesn't look like it's actually a workable part. Some of them I've had in the past, complete with the 72nd scale Hasegawa one, is posable. You can actually twist it and it will go into place and works lovely. It doesn't look like this one is going to be the same. But anyway, that's those ones down, just down in there. That's fair enough. So completing off your engine. All right. Then we're into the nose wheel well, going right the way through. That's fine, no problem at all. And obviously that's going to go down into your lower fuselage as you might expect. The big lift fan at the front being fitted down into that one. So that's pretty straightforward. All right, then you're connecting it all together. So again, depending on how you're going to have the nozzle rotated and all the positions, we're assuming. So again, you're going to be connecting the main engine onto the front lift fan. We've got the ducts going on for the intakes, fitting those onto it. Then you've got this sort of lower forward fuselage is going to go on and then connect onto the main one. Interesting, be interesting to see how that lines up and joins and various things. All right, with all of that done, all of this gorgeous detail you're about to lose. All right, so then the top half is going to come down and clamshell and cut that engine off. Again, I don't know how easy it would be to actually have it as a removable engine coming out, because it is such a shame. With all full length engine detail, you are going to lose all of that. Anyway, yeah, I'm not a fan of this one. So we've got the wing sections being fitted down onto this. Are going to clip in. Will be interesting to see how they go. But again, it's always this thing with these panels, these seam lines down in here in this wing. Don't forget, it's a beautiful design, the F-35. It's all composites. It's all one piece, you know, sort of 3D printed almost. So big panel lines and seam lines are a no-no. Opening up, obviously, the lower wing holes, which is fair enough for the pylons if you're going to be having all of those on board. And then obviously you've got the flaps and slats and all the various things. The flapperons and stuff being fitted down onto this one. All right, so those are all going to go down in there. And again, looks like we've got the little lights going to go in for the outside. All right, main gear being fitted. Again, it's hubbed with rubber tyres. Not a massive fan of rubber tyres, to be honest. Gear looks pretty much standard right the way being fitted in. We haven't got any hoses or lines or anything else on a big kit as well, so you might want to add some scratch build details to that particular one. And then obviously working through, we've got the doors being fitted onto this one for closing up, obviously, or opening the weapons bays as you require. And then obviously gear doors being exactly the same way right the way through. Pylons go in next. So obviously we've got the pylons, got the sway braces being fitted, the usual bits and pieces onto those, and then we've got the tailplanes being fitted, which is looks like it's a fillet and an inlay one. Again, it'd be interesting to see how those line up and if they're a nice fit all the way through. Then we've got the pylons being fitted. Obviously you could just do it with the bigger pylons, or you can put in the outer sort of ASRAM or Sidewinder X for the outer ones if you wanted to. And then last up, we've actually got the vertical stabilizers being fitted in. Technically not vertical, are they? I don't know what you call those. Into there, and they're going to go in. And then you've got the canopy work being fitted down into this one. Again, it's a canopy that goes over a canopy because you've got that big bar at the front. All right, and obviously it's a front opening canopy. Last up, your weapons fit. So again, you can do these. Got Sidewinder X's down in here, and then obviously you can go with GBU 12s and JDAMs. So again, got a little loadout down in here talking about where things can go, and that completes it. Nothing that jumps out at me, I will be honest. But, okay, so next up we've got the colour call out for it right the way through. So they're calling it Gunship Grey, Blue Grey. That's an interesting colour call out. So as we all know, it's Have Glass that these things have on them now. Is it Have Glass 5? It's a new version of it, and it has that funny look to it. It's one of those colours which is just looks a little bit weird. But what's really nice is obviously there's an aggressor ones now and things like that. So you can do them in some very nice colourful schemes. All right. So we've got these ones down on here. So then down here on the back we've got your markings for these ones. So you've got down in here VMFA 211, which is very nice indeed. And then who have we got down in here? We've got VFMA 121 with the Viva Knights. And then down in here, obviously, we've got 617. And obviously, the stencil applies to ZM 251 only with the Union Jack. Obviously, if it has on the inside, it's got the colour markings for those. And then down on here, so we don't get ASRAMs, we've only got Sidewinder X's, which is a bit of a problem for the UK one. All right, so yes, very nice indeed. So yeah, have to work your colours out on that. So decals. Okay, so in the decal department, these are beautifully, always really nicely protected. All right. Oh, I haven't seen this before. Right. Okay. Perhaps there's something different, but you can probably see down the side here we've got this little colour gradient chart for them. I don't know if it should have been cut off a little bit earlier. Anyway, those look very nice. Again, catching them in the light, you can see they're not thick as hell. Good solid colour, but they're not hugely over the top. So I'm hopeful. We'll get the light to play ball. There we go. You can see they're not massively over, but they don't feel very thick. They feel very thin, which is very unlike trumpeter decals. So I'm hopeful that these are actually going to conform down and bed down really, really nicely. Generally, though, they all look very, very good. Good high quality decals. So maybe something a little bit different there. And then we've also got down in here, we've got the markings for the different units. So again, you've got all the ones down in here, which is very nice indeed. So if you're doing the UK ones, that's the ones you want. Cool, very nice. Again, it's nice to see that the British ones are getting some love, because normally obviously it's the US ones. But obviously other nations are getting them as well now, but obviously yay. Right, whilst we're at the close-up, let's do some of the smaller parts just because we've got the camera here. So in here, I'm very hopeful this is the canopy. In fact, I'm incredibly hopeful it's the canopy, because if it's not, we're going to look rather silly. Okay, there it is. Actually, that's beautiful. Okay, so it's not tinted, but for clarity-wise, I don't think we've ever seen a trumpeter kit that good before, because that is a really complex curve. And it is really very, very nice indeed. We've got no mould markings in that. It's a polished mould and a half. That's actually incredibly clear. Now, tinting it and all the rest of it, you've got various options down in there when you get to it. So we will see about that one. That's never going to go back in the bag without a fight, so we do that in a moment. We have got a couple of bits of photo etch and good old trusty trumpeter. This stuff is very, very thick. So, but anyway, it's just engine parts and harnesses anyway. I think really an aftermarket seat might be a nice touch for this one with aftermarket harnesses. I don't know if anyone does one yet, but I'm sure they'll pop along in the near future because these are a little bit gnarly. But you've got your engine marks in there and all the rest of it, which is fair enough. And then last up, we have said wheels. So the wheels don't have a centre seam in, which is nice. You have got some writing on the side. I'm trying to get a manufacturer's mark. Yeah, I think it's a little bit indistinguishable, but yeah, they're okay, but it's funny, they feel really, I don't know, best way to describe it, they don't feel like rubber, they feel like something else. I don't know how well they're going to be, but anyway, it's quite nice in there. They do say Michelin on them, and various other bits and pieces, but if they're actually like that in real life, I'm not quite sure, but very nice. So, strange those tyres. I must admit, I haven't felt a tyre like that. It feels like something different. Okay, so let's get the lump off of here. So again, it's quite nice here because it's all protected like this. Bear with me. Bored now. Right, okay. Do it the quick way. way. Okay, right. So we have, to give you an idea of the size of this thing, as you can see it's quite a lump. Let's just that one off and then cut this one off. So that's why it looked a bit funny. This is that forward section, which we'll look at in a moment. So we'll get it out of the way straight away. This round tape is way too big. This, technically it's an adhesive tape which goes down, and it basically just adds another radar absorbing material to edges of things. So if there's any edges, it absorbs it a little bit more. I'm acutely aware it does build up in certain areas, access doors, things like that, because that's what it's designed to do. But these bits over here are completely overdone. What's nice though is that the real one down in here is slightly more faint. If they were all like this, I'd be happy, but this is way over the top. I think what it is because of the colour, it just makes it look too big. What I would do if this was me is I would actually come in here and sand this pretty much all out, and then just be left with a hint of it, if you like, and all the rest of it. The biggest bugbear though, you probably guessed it, what the hell are all these things? These things are rivets. You know, maybe in China, mate, but this is definitely not rivets. We don't have rivets on this aircraft, so why have they put rivets on it? I know it's a big issue, but yeah, definitely. And like the gun port, obviously I don't think the does. No, actually, sorry, I'm wrong. Actually, it's only the A's that has the gun port. But does it even have the access panel for it? I didn't think it did, but there we go. Generally, though, the moulding is very good. It's a good solid mould. Yes, we got ejector points in here and here, but what it shouldn't have is rivets, and it's covered in rivets. No, it's got panel lights and rivets. It's what round tape's for. You cover up all of this stuff. But yeah, so why it's got all this riveting on is beyond me. So what we're saying then, if you're going to do this kit, is you're going to need to sand all this off, and you need to fill all these rivets and go again, which isn't a mass biggie because it's a nice big flat surface and it's going to be quite easy to do. All right, but generally though, I think overall shape and the lines of it, it looks pretty darn good to me. I'm quite happy of how that is, and it is quite complex with this curve in here and all the rest of it. Down on the inside, you see it's got nice strengthening, bulk parts, things like that. This isn't going to go anywhere. It's not going to be a flimsy kit, shall we say. On the same token, we've got a similar issue under here. Obviously, it is a little bit more down at the bottom because obviously this is engine areas and they need to get access and all things like that. But again, this is well over the top. But again, what is it? What is it with riveting? What is this? What is this? No. So this is the stilts, or the jets, where it blows down. Obviously the Harrier has them on the wingtips, this guy has them in the middle, so it's bled air that comes through, and this was what gives you your sort of yaw control. Very nice. Generally it's all right, it's halfway there. It's just that why have you bloody riveted it? That's just really annoying. All right, and then last up we got this nose section, which we saw in the instructions, which makes you wonder how this will all fit in and go in. God, I hope it's a good fit, otherwise it's going to be a nightmare. But I'll be honest with you, we're going to be in here sanding. Look, this is the thing, why, like this one here, that's probably about right. That's good, because this is the boarding ladder area, but a nice touch would have been if you could have the boarding ladder. But we've got no boarding ladder either, unfortunately. And again, looks like we get, unless there's a plate that goes in here, we've got very little details in here for the seeker. So, yeah. The cameras. Right. So that's that bit out of the way. I think we'll literally just work our way through. I'll tell you what, we'll get through all the really rubbish stuff and then hopefully we'll find some positives with this kit, because at the moment I'm going to lose the will to live. Because for some reason, yes, they've done it again. Why have the wings got rivets all over them? I must admit, I saw the box art and it's got them on the box art and I was thinking, God, whoever did the artwork. But now I'm thinking, whoever built the kit and designed the kit, what is this? Even the prototypes didn't have this. So, okay, sand and fill and you'll be fine. So yeah, a bit annoying that it's riveted. Yes, incredibly annoying really. Because again, this kit's got so much going for it, and then it's really let down with glaringly obvious faults. What I like about this actually I hope you can see it down here. The tape is really, really fine in certain areas. That's how it should be right the way over it. Really just a hint of, you know, these ones down these leading edges and things like that. That's where they should be. It should be like that. It's really nice. And to be honest, some of the best I've seen yet for scale-wise. And then they do that. So what is this? Yes, of course we have these massive great things that have got an RCS of like a barn door. So anyway. So not brilliant news from that particular point when it comes to that. Hopefully we'll find some better news. I'm trying to try and do this in semblance of order, but I think literally we're going to have to go through the bags. So next up we got the engine. So engine wise, to be honest, again, this is one of these areas where it's really very, very nice. I like the detail on this, the honeycombing, the various bits and pieces for it, the detail, just the wiring. It looks to be in scale. It all looks quite nice. The drive shafts, things like that. Yeah, actually really nice. It's just a really good shame we're not going to see any of this, because actually the engine looks very, very nice. I quite like the details on the engine. Again, I think that would be a lovely little markup. If you could get a second 3D printed tailpipe for this or something and then have this next to it, I think it would be lovely. And again, they used to do things like this, Trumpeter, back in the old days. Like with the A10, you could have it literally with the engine out. And you could literally show it. I'm looking at the one over there, and that was always the nice thing to it. But unfortunately, yeah, you're not going to see it on these ones, all right? So, engine, yes. Speaking of engine, we have got the nozzle back here, so we can have a look at said nozzle and then some of the details. Okay, so we've got the lift areas. We obviously got some of the bays down in here. The detail in the bays is really nice. And again, actually that nozzle isn't too bad at all. That's very, very nice. It's very crisp. That's actually quite a sharp nozzle, that one. I think you could probably do better with a 3D printed one, to be honest, but it's not too bad at all. But if we scoop along here, you can see you've got the details on all of these parts. Look nice. The doors, these sort of louver doors, all very nicely detailed and done. Yeah, that's actually not too bad at all, any of that. Obviously with the jet pipe, I wonder if you could plug the jet pipe in and out the back of this thing, because obviously this is obviously 90 degrees and we've got a straight one as well. So it'll be interesting to see that. Generally though, that's not bad at all, because we've got no ejector pins inside these, even though we're never going to see them. Very good. And just last up, we've got the nose. So again, it's a bit big, it's a bit clunky. Alright, so, okay. Next up, we've got the doors. So it looks like we get open and closed doors, which I didn't spot in there before, but generally say we've got an open one and a closed. I don't know if they're going to be interchangeable. But again, nice detail in these areas that you're never going to see, which is really weird. But that all looks pretty nice. And actually, it's not bad in here. I can see how they've done it. If you can capture the light, there's a little square. Can you see the square in there? That's obviously how they got that out of the mould without leaving an ejector pin, which is very, very cool. There we go, you can see it on this one a little bit clearer, only because it's got some release agent around it, but that's obviously how it came out of the mould with a big piston. So you've got one in here and one in here to actually get that to come out. But what that means is there's no ejector pin mark, and that's actually a really nice quick sound job to get those out. But again, I don't think you're going to see them. They're going to be buried so far down in there. You can see it on here as well, how they got it out of the mould, these moulds, using big areas just to shove it out, which is fine. Rivets on the inside, I think we're okay with. We can get those, that's fine. Rivets on the outside. But then again, the strange thing is, you've got the door here for when it's open, I get it. You've got the one that's closed, has got rivets on it as well. Well, what's the point? You're not going to see them. But again, you can probably just see in there the hint of an ejector pin, how they've got that out. See these big rectangles? That's quite clever, actually. Seems to be a new thing. Gear doors themselves on the insides, not too bad at all. Very nice indeed. That's pretty cool. Alright, okay, so other intakes, because obviously there's a lot of bending and going around in these things. We got down in here, so let's go straight in those. And again, they're using the same technique. They're pulling these big pipes out as they do it. So again, that's actually going to be a lot easier to clean up than it is a, you know, a sort of 6mm or 5mm ejector pin as you normally find. The rest of it looks pretty darn good. The actual sprue gates are quite small. I haven't seen a sink mark yet, which is a bonus. And the plastic is the hard stuff, not allowed to say the clinky stuff because everyone misquotes me. Right, but yeah, it's not that normal soft plastic. This is definitely a harder plastic, which I think often gives a more crisp look to it, and obviously the parts sound and come out a lot easier. Okay, so I don't think we need to look at this one. This is just another bit of engine, as you can see, because we sort of covered engines and ducting and stuff like that. It's fair enough. Right, okay. Trying to do this somewhat in orders, but the bags are all over the place. Okay, so down in here we've got the some of the interesting stuff. So we've got main gear, nose wheel, doors, we've got the flaps, the various things. And to be honest, having never put my head up in one of these in real life, it looks good to me. But then again, I look at other areas and I think, I'm sure there's probably a little bit more to it than that. So for instance, this main nose wheel gear just looks a little bit simple. Not as refined perhaps as we've seen. And again, but the detail generally is quite nice on all of these. That's very, very nice indeed on these. So yeah, I think you can get away with it. Obviously we've got the sort of ailerons here, or flapperons, or whatever they call them, on the back of these. It's like an F-16, isn't it? So yeah, we've got all of those. So generally we're all right, but again, it looks a bit organic in here where they've been around and they have done a little bit of clean-up. Hopefully they won't interfere with anything. But different. Okay, so over here we have, come off. So down in here we have more of the bays, so to speak. Down in here we've got another nose. Didn't we just see a nose? So we've got another nose. So to be honest, we've got common parts coming through here then, obviously, that are coming from the other versions of the A and the C maybe. So again, just keep an eye out on your references of which one you've got. So don't just grab a nose, because clearly we've got different noses down in here. But the wheel hubs, again, a little bit simple, but not too bad at all. The doors and that are a little bit clunky. I know they are, but these just look a little bit clunky. But generally, if we just have a swizz up, you can see, doesn't look too bad. It's just clunky, that's my word for this. But at least obviously all the bay doors and that, we haven't got ejector pins in them, they're all nice and clear. We've sort of moved on from that, thank goodness. Okay, so pylons. This is the last of the giant screws. Okay, so we've got nice pylons down in here. Again, you can probably hear, well, because this one's falling off, but you can probably hear it's not the usual plastic. This is definitely a harder plastic. Again, I'm going to have to do some references, maybe get myself a book. But I'm not sure that there's actually all these rivets over the pylons. I'm acutely aware that pylons aren't good for stealth. So perhaps they don't even bother with it. But I don't know, I just thought you might actually not be quite as lumpy bumpy as these guys. I don't know. Tell me in the description down below if you've been around one of these or you work with them even. I'd love to know. So that's not too bad. But generally some of the other details in it start to come alive now. So obviously we've got the hook and the various bits and pieces for the gear, the doors, got the transmission type things down in there, more pylons at the end. But generally it doesn't look too bad at all. Interesting. It's an interesting aircraft, let's face it. Okay, so interesting stuff here though is the cockpit tub. You can probably see it's like a one-piece plug unit, but again the plastic is rock hard stuff. This is really weird because I'm not used to dealing with theirs. So, but again, you probably see down in here, it's got very, very few switches. It does look better now. I've got it out of the bag. I thought they'd covered it in switches, but it's not too bad at all. Canopy framework looks pretty darn good. These areas just down in here, all looking very nice indeed. Internal canopy framework. Obviously we're more akin to what's going on the inside, and actually it's quite nice. You've got all the groove in. You've got the attachment points, pressures, things like that. But again, if you're looking for big, switches and dials and stuff, obviously you're not going to find them because it's all on TV screen these days. So yeah, not bad at all. Right, okay, so I don't know what that is, so we'll look at that in a moment. Okay, so another cockpit. So I don't know which one that was. 4. Again, that's what we're saying. We've got both versions in here. So again, we've got another complete canopy. Nozzle's completely different than the other one we've seen. So we have got different versions down in here. Obviously, don't forget, I see this literally as you've seen it. Do a little bit of homework and research on this to be able to find out what versions. I assume we've got the A version in here as well. But again, we've got more canopies. I don't know what the difference is between the two. There must be a subtle difference. But anyway, this is sprue G. Again, it's funny how the canopies are different, and the way they've done the actual cockpits are completely different as well. I wasn't aware there was that much difference between the two, but obviously being the Stovall version, there's obviously a lot more going on behind the pilot. So I assume perhaps this is the Stovall one. So again, nicely done. So as far as I'm aware, the engine is a common engine. So we've got 2 nozzles. So I'm wondering if you could, what we were talking about, interchange it all, which would be quite nice if you could. Because again, it's a big old lump. But yeah, strange the plastic is bugging me now because it's very, very different. More of the tailplanes, which luckily they haven't riveted this time, weirdly. So we've got no rivets on these. But they did the others. Again, just be careful in here. We've got some fouling opportunities because we've got raised ejector pins down in here, making sure they're all tucked out of the way. We've got the slats on the front, which amazingly has got rivets in it. Really? You've actually got rivet detail on these, pretty sure. And again, the various ones. Main gear posts, fair enough, but these, okay, they're not too bad. Again, just need to rub that down a little bit. Let's get rid of some of that. That'll be fine. Again, some of the smaller ones. So yeah, we've got the pitos there. I didn't realise I had pitos. The pitos, that's good for stealth. Okay, so next up we have the pylons. I assume these are the just making sure, which ones are these going to be? This must be the weapon bay sides, I assume. Again, big old chunky plastic. Very nice. With those, some nice details. So obviously you can get in there and pick out the details. Weapon doors, again, ugh. I don't know, so I'm not going to proper hate on them, but what are these? Are these the ejector pins that they've used to get them out, and they're just going along the lines of, oh, it's fine? Because now what you've done is you've put these massive squares right in the middle of raised rivets, which is going to be a friggin' nightmare to try and fill and blend out without losing those raised rivets. So I'm not a fan of that. Again, I don't know it. Perhaps it has these. I'm assuming they're actually ejector pins to get it out. Which, if they have, that is an almighty cock up, because those are well too deep. I think, honestly, I would just bite the bullet, and as you know, I'm not a rivet counter by any stretch, and I would just say they're part of it. Because the amount of time and hassle you're going to have to try and get rid of those that you're hardly going to see, I would probably not even bother going near them. But that's actually a little bit of a nasties. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure they're not, because that one's not even square. So, yeah. Shame about that. Okay. Just a couple of bits to go. So we've got, this is the vertical stabs, if it has them. I don't know what you'd call them for this side of things. Okay, so those out the way, and then we're back in. Again, I don't understand this thing with rivets. What is it with Trumpeter and rivets? Pretty sure it doesn't have rivets. But what they've done is they've put it in here, and again, that's not going to be a straightforward type fix, because we've got riveting detail all along here, which I'm pretty sure it doesn't have. And then obviously it's all up here. But round in here, if you've got to fill this, you're then going to be careful because you don't want to lose the detail underneath it. So very, very carefully coming in with a filler, or maybe water-based fillers and things like that, just so it's easy cleanup. But again, it's making work which really, why have they put it in there? You don't need to do it. So, and I appreciate it's not like the old days of Trumpeter when very famously they had riveting detail was done on industrial scale. Okay, last up we have got the seat. So the seat itself, as you can probably see, that's the front of it, and then obviously this is the working side of it. It doesn't look too bad, to be honest. I think by the time you could come in here, but the cushioning in that, I think you could liven that up with something a little bit nicer, maybe a little bit of fabric or putties on there, things like that, to give it a little bit more texture. Because generally, I just think it needs a little bit more work on that, although there may be an aftermarket one coming down the line, so that would be quite nice if someone did that. Okay, last up, you've got some weapons, which I assume are just the same as standard Trumpy weapons. I don't think these are anything different at all. So we've got some JDAMs, we've got some GBUs, we've got some AIM-120s, and we've got some, and again, they're not exactly nicely moulded, if I'm honest. That almost looks like a Sidewinder X, but there's something not right around the front end of that. I don't like the look of that. That's not the nicest looking Sidewinder, if I'm honest. All right, but generally you have got a weapons fit in there of pretty much what it would take. Again, I think aftermarket might be a nicer way to go with these because they're a little bit simplistic. Right, last up is this, and I have no idea what this is. I'm assuming it's just the clear parts for the lights, which will be the biggest anticlimax to this, if it is. It is. Okay, so we've just got the actual wings lights, and we've got the sensor underneath. So obviously this is where the camera is, and obviously all the targeting stuff and all the bits and pieces down in there. They're tinted quite heavily. They have a sort of gold fleck to them. So again, going to have to do a little bit work with that one on there. All right. What do you say? At the end of the day, I'm torn. It's a great big F-35B, and it's mega. Absolutely love it. Obviously, you've got the Atari one. That's an A, but if you want a B, this is the only place you can go. What I am disappointed about is the frickin' rivets all over it. Why would they rivet it? They've made work for themselves when it doesn't need to have it. The surface detail, this isn't back when the thing was first out and everyone was like, oh, it's got giant raised panels all over it and they're a funny colour. We've moved on from that because everybody knows it's not that bad, but apparently Trumpeter never got the message. So what they've done, they've gone down the old school 10 years ago when the F-35 was in its infancy, of doing it like that. And again, some of the little quirky things in there, it just feels toyish. And I know that's the trouble. When you get to bigger scales, everything starts to feel toyish. And by the time you get some primer on it, even a little bit of paint, a bit of weathering, everything comes back to life. But I just feel that the details on this for a 32nd scale kit should be more refined. And on something like this as well, where it doesn't have many details, it shouldn't be a problem because you can spend a little bit more attention to detail on those said areas, because the rest of it is just a smooth, nice organic shape. Getting the shape right, I'm sure, was incredibly difficult, but we haven't even got a boarding ladder. You know, a detail like that where you could have it opened up and have the boarding ladder and some things like that, it draws interest. You could have the cockpit open. Obviously we don't get a pilot, but we're not expecting one, but it would be nice to have those options into it. So you could have it stood there, removable flight tags, looking like it's ready for the pilot to rack up and it's all set. But unfortunately, no. And obviously the boarding ladder is quite important because it does use it. So little areas where they seem to have spent a lot of time on, like riveting it and panel lining it, could have been used in other areas to give it a far nicer look. As for general way it goes together, my only complaint really is the actual wings. It's not a massive kit. We've seen bigger ones with the flankers and stuff like that where you could have put the wing in, but we've got this huge join here that we're going to have to deal with. And again, you've got riveting all around it, so it's going to go. It's not going to be a problem because you can do it. And if you're like me, the chances are you're going to take a sanding sponge to this entire detail and knock it back a bit, take it back to a more realistic level. So it really doesn't matter. But I don't know, I just feel with this kit it's a little bit of a letdown because it's big, it's bulky, it's incredibly pricey, and it's got blindingly obvious errors which should have been spotted 10 years ago. You know, let alone this is a new toolkit. You know, obviously it's working off the A, we know, but this is the B, so it would have had a new fuselage section. They could have done that probably a little bit nicer and things like that. So anyway, we are seeing the C kit of this coming out, and I assume all they're going to do is put bigger wings onto it, hence whilst they've done it like this. But seeing as they've done this is a new top fuselage. Why couldn't you just put the wings onto them? I don't know. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this one. Comment down below. I'd love to hear what you got to say about this kit as well. In the meantime, this has been the Trumpeter 1/32nd scale F-35B. It's just going to take a little bit of work just to make it what you need. So you are going to need some filler. That's all I'm going to say.
Like the real thing then.
Yes, to be honest, it is. And I know some guys have posted photos of that.
You could actually build that then as one on the production line.
Yeah, do it in the green. Yeah, do it in the green.
And all the funny. That'd be actually quite a cool...
Yeah, actually, I tell you what, that's actually not a bad idea, because that green is a cool green as well.
Yeah.
So you could actually do it as one sat on the production line, or just coming off the production line before it gets in and putted up and say getting care. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There's an idea for it.
That's it. Perhaps that's what it is. They should get rid of that, put it on the production line, done it in green.
Yeah.
Be a perfect kit.
Yeah. Absolutely. And now we're going to get questions of what green is it?
Yeah, what green is it? I have no idea what that primer green is.
Not a clue.
No.
Just the XF4 was pretty.
I'm about to say XF4, yeah, a bit light XF4.
Zinc chromate, a bit lighter, whack a bit of white in it.
Yeah. So they have that bluey colour to them as well. It's the greens and the blues, isn't it? And there are bits of yellow on them, and they do white primer insides as well. So you could actually probably do quite a cool job on that. In fact, now my head's going, I'm actually thinking that's probably not a bad idea. That would be proper cool to do it.
A little base. Well, not a little base, it'd be quite a big base.
Big base, yeah.
It'd be you've got enough photos of them. That'd be actually really quite a good idea to do. There you go.
I might keep it now. Originally, I was going to offload this, but actually, I might keep it because that's actually not a bad idea. Especially if you did some you'd probably get some nice 3D printed trestles and stuff around it. You know, and all things like that.
Some workman figures as well that you could put next to it. So I've found some decent files for modern workmen that you could probably convert or make them work for that. So that's not a bad shout, is it? They'll be sold out by the time this show now comes tonight or whatever. When this show by tomorrow, you might be able to get one of them because everybody will be doing the same thing. So actually, really, then that kit's a 2-in-1.
Yes.
So you can build a production line one way. It does show the rivets and all the bits on the pictures, or you put it up and you can build one that's in service.
Yes.
So there you go. We've sold it. Blimey, get some ordered today.
Yeah, we'll get them all in now.
We'll whack them up. 20% off.
And to be honest, it's not that big. It will fit on an A2 cutting mat. Because I think, what's the length on this one? 48? And one of these is about 50 odd, isn't it? So it's about 60 in total. So yeah, it will fit on a cutting mat. It's not massive. It's quite nice.
No decals.
No decals, yeah. No problem with silvering of decals or anything else like that. You don't have to worry about your ram tape. Well, you could do it in that original colour that they put down before it gets it. So, yeah.
There you go.
Nice. So, yes. Good job.
So it's not all's lost with this kit. So actually, you better revise your clickbait now.
I will. I'll revise the clickbait. The perfect
F-35 the 2-in-1 perfect F-35B in 30 seconds has now arrived.
Yes, that's it. I might actually have to put some notes on the footnotes to this. After discussion with the team, we've actually realised what it was. So, yes, that's it. So, cool.
It's obviously lost in translation from, from Chinese to English. So now we know. We've figured it out what the plan was all along.
So it's the box art, the instructions, and the decal sheet that's wrong then?
Yes.
Just get rid of them. You don't need them.
You don't need them. That's it. So.
Well, technically, no, you would, because like I say, it's 2-in-1, so you just have to put it over the rivet to make a service one.
Yeah.
So anything now that's trumpeted with rivet is
it's just a production version one.
We say different.
Yes, that's it. So yeah, all their panel lining and their riveting is all in scale because it hasn't been done yet.
It's not been. Yeah.
That's it. We found out what it actually is. So they've got spies clearly. Not that I'm saying China ever does any spying or anything or copies anything, but obviously right at the pulse on the production line, and that's where they're getting all their information and details from their kits these days. That's it. Sorted it.
Or they just do like what everybody else does and look on the internet and find pictures.
They just Google it.
Just Google it. Happy days, isn't it?
So
you should actually put that in this thing when you've edited it. You should actually put the picture you showed us.
Yes, I will do.
So people understand.
The F-22 or the...
Hold on, I can find it because it's actually off of one of our members did it. So very kindly did it. Hold on, I can find it right here.
That could be your thumbnail today with the kit.
It could.
Instead of us.
This is what we're talking about, people.
That's a lovely JD greeny
That yellow will work for that. That's the other one. That's for the F-22 is in that one.
Yeah, you need to find the green. Sorry, our mistake. There's a lot of
the yellow one. That's not even. I don't know why that is. It says it's an F-35, but it's not. That's a Raptor.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely not Synchromate either,
no.
unless that's a bad picture. But actually, that green and all that.
I know it's quite cool. That
you need to get it done now. Hurry up with that Viking and get on it.
Yeah, that's it. I'll start on this one tomorrow.
Yeah, live build.
Live build.
Hellcat's gone out the window. He's doing this instead.
That's quite cool, isn't it?
But yeah, it is cool like that. I must admit, I think you could actually do something quite nice with that.
I'll tell you what, actually in 30 seconds, that would be impressive.
Yes.
There's a lot of different materials and textures and just